They met halfway between their lives, in a city neither of them belonged to. It was supposed to be practical, a conference for him, a short work trip for her. Same hotel, different reasons, same quiet elevator ride where they exchanged polite smiles and nothing more. The kind of moment that usually disappears immediately. But later that evening, they ran into each other again in the hotel bar. The place was dim, calm, filled with low conversation and soft music that made everything feel slower. She recognized him first, the familiar jacket, the same thoughtful posture. This time they talked about travel fatigue, about cities that feel anonymous in the best way, about how hotel rooms make you feel both invisible and strangely honest. One drink turned into two, not because they chased it, but because neither wanted to end the conversation yet. There was an ease between them, a lack of background expectations. No shared friends, no future plans pressing in, just the present moment, clean and open. He noticed how confidently she spoke, how she held eye contact without performing. She noticed how attentive he was, how he listened without waiting to respond. When they took the elevator up together, the silence wasn't awkward. It was charged but controlled. At her floor, she hesitated for half a second, then invited him in, not impulsively, but deliberately. The room was small, neutral, designed for passing through rather than staying. They didn't rush to fill it. They sat on the edge of the bed, shoes still on, talking quietly as if the walls were listening. The intimacy grew gradually through closeness rather than action. A hand resting near another, a shoulder brushing, a kiss that began slow and stayed that way, exploratory rather than urgent. Nothing felt exaggerated. Everything felt intentional. They let the night unfold without forcing it into a story it didn't need to become. Later, wrapped in hotel sheets that smelled faintly of detergent and unfamiliarity, they talked again, softer now, closer, about timing, about how some connections don't fit into everyday life but still matter. The city outside hummed indifferently, unaware of the quiet intensity inside that small room. In the morning, light filled the space too quickly. Reality returned gently, not cruelly. They didn't exchange promises. They shared coffee from paper cups, smiles warm but grounded. When they parted in the hallway, it felt complete. Not like an ending, but like a moment that had known exactly how long it was meant to last. Some stories don't ask to be continued. They exist to remind you that connection doesn't always need permanence to be real. Sometimes, it lives perfectly in the space between two cities, one hotel room, and a night that didn't pretend to be more than it was, and because of that, meant everything it could. After they parted in the hallway, neither expected the feeling to linger the way it did. It wasn't longing exactly, and it wasn't regret. It was awareness. The kind that follows you through the day, quietly, reminding you of something real without demanding anything in return. She went to her meetings, focused and present, but every so often her thoughts drifted back to the calm of that room, the ease of being seen without history attached. They didn't message immediately. That felt important, letting the moment settle without pulling at it. In the afternoon, she received a short text from him, just a line saying he hoped her day was going well and that meeting her had been unexpected in the best way. She replied a while later, saying the same. No emojis, no implications, just honesty. That evening, they met again briefly in the lobby, not planned, not avoided. This time, the dynamic was different, familiar but lighter. They talked about their days, about how strange it felt to return to normal so quickly. There was no attempt to recreate the night before. They didn't need to. What they had shared didn't disappear just because it wasn't repeated. They walked together outside for a bit, the city glowing softly around them. He mentioned how travel sometimes allows people to be more themselves, stripped of roles and expectations. She agreed, adding that it made goodbyes easier too, clearer, cleaner. When they stopped at a corner, they hugged, slow and sincere, not clinging. The kind of embrace that says thank you more than stay. When they finally went their separate ways, it felt complete. Not closed, but whole. In the weeks that followed, they exchanged occasional messages, thoughts, music, moments from different cities. Nothing heavy, Nothing demanding. The connection adapted instead of fading, finding a shape that fit real life rather than resisting it. Sometimes, late at night, she thought about that hotel room, not as a missed opportunity, but as proof. Proof that intimacy can exist without ownership, that closeness doesn't always require permanence, and that some people enter your life not to stay, but to remind you of who you are when everything unnecessary falls away. And whenever she traveled after that, checking into unfamiliar rooms, she carried the same calm with her, knowing that even brief connections can leave lasting clarity if you let them be exactly what they are.